All right, so today we're gonna go over glute exercises. We're starting with the pivot press here. The pivot press is one of my favorite exercises for the glutes, if not the favorite exercise that I have for the glutes. This exercise is gonna load the glutes really well in the lengthened position here. So great from a hypertrophy standpoint for the glutes. Now, the thing that I think a lot of people are gonna run into here is the reality that you're not gonna be able to take your quads out of this, right? It's going to be a pretty effective quad exercise and a pretty effective glute exercise at the same time. But again, the way this particular machine works, you'll see Cybex has one that's really well known. They're going to come at a little bit more of a pivot than the typical leg press that you already saw us demo, and the way that we set that up was a little bit more to bias the quad, so it's a little bit more of a linear press, whereas this is going to come at a little bit more of a pivot. So again, it allows us to load that posterior, those glutes, a little bit more efficiently, right? But again, you're not going to be able to take your quads out of it. So don't go through this exercise thinking I'm doing it wrong or I'm not feeling enough in my glutes, you know, yada, yada, yada. Again, you're hitting them in the lengthened position, so you're going to load it really well in the lengthened position, which is going to cause a good amount of tissue breakdown, ultimately leading to a good amount of muscle growth. But unfortunately, when we are training something in that lengthened range, you're probably not going to get as much feel out of it, and you can do that just by extending your arm, right? And if you're going like this, you're probably not going to feel your bicep very well relative to if I made you get in the shortened position of where this bicep is and squeeze to the top. Now you're going to feel that bicep. So again, this is one of those interesting ones where you're not necessarily in it for the sensation of, you know, the glute pump or feeling your glutes or whatever it might be. You're in this to really get a good amount of load in that lengthened position, which again, the point I'm trying to make here is you might not feel that so well relative to the amount of quad that you're going to get out of that. It doesn't mean that it's not working for your glutes, all right? But let's go ahead. This one's going to be pretty straightforward. Yeah, that's perfect. Now, I would just say a lot of people, the number one thing that we're going to see people do wrong is that they take a wider stance here, right? And while that's still going to hit the glutes to a certain degree, you're also going to bring a lot more adductor into the game too. If we narrow that stance a little bit, you're probably going to be more effectively hitting the glute. And then from there, you just want to make sure that you're getting as low as possible, which sometimes Marina has a little bit of an issue with on this, but there you go. Do I? That's good, that's good. But that's about it. I can't think of anything else that I might be missing. We don't want feet too high. What's that?
I feel like I'm giving birth.
We don't want feet too high. We don't want feet too wide. We want them nice in the middle, a little bit more narrow. This is what we don't want necessarily, right? We want them right in the middle, a little bit more narrow, good to go.